So I read the Criminal comics, and my experience went something like this. Now, as special as this reading experience was, this comic did more than just entertain. It single-handedly mastered the genre, and I'm here to tell you how. So welcome back my comic book friends, and let's kick it. First of all, what is Criminal? The Criminal comic series was written by Ed Brubaker with art by Sean Phillips. It's best described as an intergenerational story of families connected through shared criminal history. The stories currently span across 3 deluxe editions. I say currently because the creators plan to return to Criminal just in time for the new TV show releasing in 2025, starring a slew of well-known superstars. I should mention, aside from these 3 volumes, there is also the story Cruel Summer, which is not included in these collected editions and can be picked up on its own. In the comic series, each story focuses on a different character. Brubaker and Phillips are able to create the ultimate crime/criminal noir comic, providing their own unique takes on tried and true tropes like heists, hitmen, and femme fatales. All the stories are interconnected in some way, taking place in different time periods as they follow the sagas of entire families operating in the criminal underworld. Now, you could jump into any of these 3 deluxe editions and read them in any order, but I don't recommend it. Instead, the best way to experience it would be either through publication order or chronological order, starting in 1954 with the story titled Second Chance in Hell, and the final story taking place in 2016 with My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies. Having read it in publication order, there is some method to the madness, and I was able to piece together the timelines and connect the dots between the characters. Now, have you guys ever played the Dark Souls games? Well, for those that haven't, first of all, they are very difficult for any casual gamer. Balls. Balls. Oh no. Balls. But also extremely rewarding too. Nice. Now, I bring up Dark Souls because just like Criminal, the 3 games take place in the same world over and over again, but at very different times and often in different places. The connections in the games are often subtle, and the lore you pick up along the way in the form of item descriptions enriches the experience. The same can be said about Criminal. The characters inhabit the same world, frequent the same bar, also known as the Undertow. And fun fact, originally called the Undertown Bar, the N in the neon sign burned out in the 1950s but was never repaired. See, it's these little details in the comic that I just simply love. Now, back on track, and more importantly, the characters share a common history of 2 generations of crime. And if you pay close attention, you'll pick up meaningful information from conversations and important details about characters that haven't been revealed yet or only had a small role in a particular story. Now, Dark Souls can be challenging at times, balls, whereas Criminal can be a challenging comic to stomach at times, because the creative team takes you on a roller coaster of death, drug abuse, and deceit. Things can go from bad to worse rather quickly. Now, this doesn't sound so bad on paper, but Brubaker fast-tracks the reader to empathize with most of the characters here, and when anything bad happens to these characters, or if there is any foreshadowing of tragedy looming across the horizon, you can't help but feel a sense of dread. And this level of discomfort stayed with me from story to story, kind of like fighting every new boss in Elden Ring. My palms were sweaty, knees weak, mom's spaghetti. But seriously, I would love to see Elden Ring 2. Any fans out there? Let me know in the comments below. In saying so, is the Criminal comic good? No. it's beyond good. The storytelling is set at the perfect pace and the artwork sets the perfect tone. I couldn't put these books down. Reading late into the night, the stories were so mesmerizing and kept me guessing. Everything about these comics is masterfully crafted. There isn't a single line out of place. And whilst it is difficult to achieve perfection, the dynamic duo seem to consistently do it every single issue of the entire series. It's one of those comics that is a 10 out of 10. Now, whilst the series is a meditation on the cliches of the crime genre, it continued to remain realistic and believable every step of the way, which is one of the elements that makes this such a compelling read. Oh, and if you're a man of culture like me, you'll find there is no shortage of giggity. Like seriously, you'll be drowning in giggity. Sean Phillips draws some of the finest facial expressions as they depict anything from rage to joy, despair, curiosity, contempt, shock. It's all there and more. Meanwhile, Brubaker provides sharp and heartbreaking dialogue, and with these two combined, you have compelling stories which evoke a myriad of emotions. You can't help but feel for some of these characters, as their situations are pretty tough, and you can't help but think, what would I do if I was placed in such a predicament? It needs to be said that Criminal is a bleak comic, with profound sadness oozing through the monologue, dialogue, and the deceptively simple lines used to draw fully realized characters. But it's a lot more than that. There's sadness and suffering. Sure, there are characters haunted by the past, but also there are human connections, real ones. Those stories are populated by characters who love and help each other. And if the love and help is flawed, it's no less genuine. The characters were merely doing the best that they could with the tools that they had. Comic books have a vast selection of genres, ranging from superhero to fantasy, science fiction, horror, slice of life, giggity, and more. With each of these, there are standout titles which are masters of their own genre. And when it comes to crime, Criminal is the Giga Chad. Sure, there are other pieces of strong work in recent years, which also tell great crime stories like Sin City, the acclaimed crime noir from comics steeped in murder, mystery, corruption, and vengeance. Road to Perdition, the story of Michael O'Sullivan, the ruthless but honorable enforcer for an Irish crime syndicate. 100 Bullets, a comic attempts to answer the question if people are willing to act on the desire of violent revenge if given the means, opportunity, and a reasonable chance to succeed. Scalped, a unique take on fictional Indian reservation and how the inhabitants grapple with crime, poverty, and politics. The Spirit, the fictional masked crime fighter who becomes a domino mask-wearing friendly outlaw who pursues criminals that might otherwise escape capture by traditional law enforcement. Black Sad, with anthropomorphic animals whose species reflects their personality, weaving in fascinating tales of conspiracy, racial tension, and the Red Scare communist witch hunts of the time, and many others. But what makes Criminal truly special is its attempt at rendering the addictive formula of crime and noir and succeeding at every turn. It's a comic for people who really like comics, such as myself. It makes the most of the format by jam-packing as much emotional impact in as little space as possible, leaving us readers addicted, wanting to know what happens next, as each page hits us with intense drama, action, romance, deep and meaningful monologue, or plot twists that will make you The comic offers a wide cast of memorable and unique characters, such as Gnarly, the bartender of the Undertow Bar and former boxer; Teague Lawless, father of Tracy and Ricky Lawless, Vietnam veteran and thief with a reputation for brutality; Ricky Lawless, younger brother of Tracy Lawless, grew up to be just as brutal as his father; Tracy Lawless, the son of a hardened criminal who became a soldier to escape his past; Sebastian Hyde is the main mob boss in the nameless city where most of the criminal stories are set; Leo Patterson, master thief and planner; Greta Watson, a reformed heroin addict; Jacob Kirst, cartoonist and former counterfeiter who grew up with Leo Patterson and the Lawless Boys, and the list goes on. As you can imagine, these characters are extremely flawed, but you won't be able to take your eyes off of them, as they often face a lose-lose situation. I love a good TV show, and I would say this is the comic book equivalent in terms of quality to the likes of Breaking Bad, True Detective, The Wire, and even The Sopranos. See, all these TV shows have something in common. Aside from the obvious criminal themes, it's the natural composition and delivery of dialogue. You see, the acting and content feel so genuine. It's as if you're a bystander watching someone's life unfold right before your eyes. Hey, Walter White, what are you doing there?
Say my name.
Yeah, I know, I just said it.
You're goddamn right.
Thanks, I guess? And this honest approach to storytelling can be seen replicated in these comics, minus the motion of a live-action representation. Criminal is a gateway drug to crime comics. Once you get a taste of it, there is a good chance you will want to check out all things Brubaker, such as Kill or Be Killed, Fatale, Pulp, Reckless, The Fade Out, Velvet, Where the Body Was, Night Fever, Incognito, Sleeper. I mean, the man has been very busy throughout the years mastering the art of writing. Criminal is long-form storytelling at its finest. Instead of focusing on a single character or narrative, the creators lean into the world they have created for inspiration. It's a sandbox that the creators clearly enjoy playing in, and with each new volume, you can see Phillips continue to improve on his art style, and Brubaker mastering the ability of saying more with less, leaving just enough wiggle room for us to fill in the blanks. Now, I know there's a lot of emotional and impactful comic books out there, such as the Goodnight Pun Pun that you guys have been recommending to me for quite some time. And when the time is right, I'll be sure to check it out. But for my manga lovers, if you want to brave something dark, gritty, and mature, where terrible things happen to questionable people, then look no further than Criminal, and I'll think you have a good time. Now, as always, a big thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and let me know in the comments below what are your experiences with Criminal comics, and I will catch you soon.